We gave Rodgers a short field too, Sills. Hey, absolutely. Special teams, 3 times during that football game on Sunday, they shortened the field, and that was an issue for Merrill. And like I said, so I got a chance. I can watch the game like on my phone. So we're driving back, and we were in Arizona, and I got a chance to watch the game. But in this broadcast, I get the WIP feed, and I'm listening to Merrill Reese, and I'm listening to Mike Quick. And boy, I'll tell you what, you're sitting there at the edge of your seat. Merrill's getting knee deep into it on special teams. And, of course, he was talking about Jalen. I'm sitting there listening to this, and let's bring in Merrill Reese now. Merrill, I got to tell you, man, you're pretty fair when you do your broadcast. You really are. I mean, you were very critical of the special teams because it was giving up short fields. You were very complimentary, obviously, in how Jalen took the game over and what he has done this year. Miles Sanders as well. I mean, really a true testament to what you guys do. You were a little concerned about the special teams in that game on Sunday.
Yeah, it was, Dan. First of all, I do not – people think it's a compliment when they say you're a real homer. I'm not a homer.
Absolutely not. I was floored, Merrill. I was floored. Listen, I'm going, wow, he is as honest as you can be.
We try to be. We respect our fans. We think they understand when they see a bad play that comes from the Eagles. You know I want the Eagles to win. You know that's where my heart is. There's no doubt that I'm celebratory when they come up with a big play. But when they're bad, when they're off, when they're out of sync, when there's an aspect of their game that is going to get them into trouble, we point it out. We try to be as fair and as honest as we can possibly be. I was outraged 2 weeks ago when there was no face mask called on the Dallas Goedert fumble. I was outraged. But if the call had been the other way, I might not have been as outraged, but I would have been as honest, pointing out that the officials missed a face mask. And in fact, the next week, there was a tackle by Hassan Reddick on a sack of Matt Ryan in the Indianapolis game, and Mike said, I think there was a face mask there. And I said to Mike, boy, I thought that was legal.
I think a little bit of justice right there in that play, except for Dallas being lost. That to me, again, I said the same thing. I'm like, look at Merrill, man, kind of making it even Stevens there. No, but it really was a really great broadcast to listen to. And Merrill, I suggested this. If you're in the middle of the season, hell, you're through the middle of the season. Now you got 6 remaining now. To me, do you think they would ever entertain putting frontline guys in on special teams? You can't give up. And as you know, even if you get the number 1 seed, you can't give up 3 plays of 50 yards.
No, you can't.
You just can't. Do you think they would put frontline guys in on special teams?
I think they would put some in on occasion, but I think they've got to be very judicious with their use of frontline guys because keep in mind that Avonte Maddox, the terrific nickel safety, is not back. Nickel corner, if you want to call him that. He's not back yet. Dallas Goedert is not back yet. I don't know that Jordan Davis is back yet. This week, they lost a very important player, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, to a lacerated kidney. Now, that could be a month, that could be a week, or it could be a month. We don't know. So you've got to be careful with that. If they got into a desperation situation, I think they might have to. But when your record is 10-1, you can be a little more lax in that regard and say, okay, we're still winning. And we still have the best record in the National Football League. Let's not go overboard and lose more starters.
This game with Tennessee coming in, we'll get to CJ here in a second. This game with Tennessee, that kid Jeffrey Simmons is a special player, that defensive tackle that they have in Tennessee. They're a well-coached group with Mike Vrabel. Their offensive line is not one of the better ones. However, there's 2 guys on it that are good. But you do have the best back in the sport. And it just seems, Merrill, to me, the key will be you don't know what Tannehill you're going to get. 2 weeks ago, he throws for 331. Last week, I thought Cincinnati did a great job at blitzing on 1st and 2nd down to make them one-dimensional. Does this Tennessee team concern you because they do all the components?
Yeah, they're good.
That can beat you.
They're good. You know what the best way to stop Derrick Henry is? the best way to stop Derrick Henry is for the offense to go on long, time-consuming drives. Keep him off the field. That would help. You cannot lose the time of possession. It can't be lopsided in the direction of the Titans, because if it is, they win.
Absolutely. The loss of C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I said that this could be even a bigger loss, Merrill, than what Dallas Goedert is, because that secondary has been the star of the defense all year long. They've played exceptional. And when you lose a player like that and you struggle a little bit when it comes to stopping the run, this could be a pretty big and significant loss. They're not playing against a quarterback who's going to throw for 600 yards, but it's still something to be concerned about, losing a player like that, because you lose depth also.
You do. However, the depth worked last week because a young player, an undrafted free agent from Middle Tennessee by the name of Reed Blankenship, who I had never heard of until he started doing something great every day in training camp, came in and made a key interception in that game. And he's a smart young player. So it's not like they're taking somebody off the bench and throwing him in and doing it with just a prayer. They believe in him. And everybody on the backup units is conditioned to believe that they have got to be ready to come in and start at any time. And that's the case with Reed. He's a starter this week. And, the crowd was around his locker today when the players were available. And he's not phased. He's a good player. He's a very good player. Is he C.J. Gardner-Johnson? No, of course not. He couldn't be. Not in his first action. But Gardner-Johnson, a few years ago, Dan, Zach Ertz had that same injury, and he missed one game and then back for the playoffs. One game. So now that there must be different degrees of lacerated kidneys. It could be a deep cut. It could be a moderate cut. It could be a small cut. We don't know that yet. The interesting thing is, unless you know something that I don't, since I drove home from the facility, they haven't put C.J. Gardner-Johnson on injured reserve yet, which tells me they're not sure. They're looking and they're testing and they're waiting to see how he responds before they take him out of the lineup for a required 4 weeks when you put somebody on IR. So I think they're being wise about that. As in the case of Jordan Davis, they're not going to rush him back before he's ready. Nick said the safety and his health is the most important thing. And the same, I believe Jordan Davis was out of the walkthrough today. Whether or not they use him, we'll see. They want to see how he is after going through a walkthrough, or how he is after going through a practice later in the week, and see how he responds. But he's so valuable, and so is C.J. Gardner-Johnson, that they don't want to put them out here prematurely.
Absolutely. And that lacerated kidney, it's always, like you said, Merrill, it's like knee injuries in a way. There's levels and degrees.
Right.
And what you do is you wait for the swelling to go down to see if you need any kind of microsurgery or something more significant. So to me, the more they don't have him under the knife right away, I think that's a positive sign.
The word seems to be that there is no surgery required.
That's fantastic.
So, but the treatment for a lacerated kidney is rest.
Right.
So he can't go. He can't go stay in physical shape. He can't go running or jogging or doing anything else. He's got to just become a couch potato for the next however.
Do you agree with Mike Quick that A.J. Brown has not had a very good month?
I would say he hasn't had a really good 2 weeks. In the Pittsburgh game, which was a month ago, let's see, we have 3 weeks ago. In the Pittsburgh, I think that's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
I scheduled 3 games. Yeah, 3. He was phenomenal. He had 3 long touchdown catches. So I'd say for the game against Washington, he got hurt. Oh, no, he fumbled a ball. It was a key fumble. In Indianapolis, he had a fumble, and then he's had a few mistakes. He hasn't had the big game that he's had in the past, but he will. He'll be right back. And it's funny to hear Nick talk today and say it doesn't matter if he's going back to play against the Tennessee Titans, the team that he couldn't come to a contract agreement with, the team that traded him. You treat each game the same. And I tell them it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're going back playing against your old coach. Doesn't matter if you're going to go back and play against your former teammates. Human nature tells me that it does.
Hey, Merrill, you do this to the newspaper guys and to the media guys. You say this, it's just another game on the schedule, But inside you're like this. Oh, yeah, you don't want to pay me the extra $4 million? Well, here I come.
Right. It's called professional pride, and he has plenty of it. He's going to come back and have a great game.
Miles Sanders. I got to ask you here, Merrill. Would you agree when I say this, that Miles Sanders has been the second most consistent offensive weapon that the Eagles have since the Detroit game to the Packer game? There's been other guys that have had spectacular moments, like AJ, like Dallas Goedert. But the second most consistent player who's on pace for 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns, this guy's on pace to have a Pro Bowl year.
Absolutely.
As a running back. You think he's been the second most important player in that huddle?
Not counting Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
Since, he's out right now. But yes, yeah, I do. Although you also have to realize that Devonta Smith has been pretty good. So, I mean, he's the way he's taken over the ball carrying chores. But, I mean, he had over 130 yards. They just rushed like crazy against Green Bay. I mean, do you realize that Jalen Hurts had 157 yards rushing, which broke Michael Vick's Eagles single-game rushing record for a quarterback by 27 yards. He didn't just break the record, he shattered it.
363 on the ground. I only used to see that stuff in college when you're playing against inferior opponents. Yeah. NFL teams, Merrill, don't run for 363 yards. That being said, what you said about Jalen, does it concern you the last 2 weeks he's carried the ball 30 times combined in those last 2 weeks?
Minimally. I mean, I don't like to see quarterbacks run the ball 17 times because that's 17 times they're exposed to hits. But in the case of Jalen Hurts, it's interesting. He knows what he's doing. I heard Randall Cunningham on one of the talk shows here the other day on WIP. And Randall Cunningham was talking about, how Jalen Hurts slides and how he knows where he's going. And he talks about what he did. It's a totally different kind of running. Randall Cunningham was out there ad-libbing 90% of the time, running in circles, leaping over tall buildings at a single bound, throwing his body around. I think, and this is not a criticism because I think he's a great quarterback, but I think Josh Allen can be a little bit reckless.
He is.
Where he'll bang into people. Carson Wentz, when he went down in 2017, was cracking across the line of scrimmage and trying to bang it in there. Jalen Hurts doesn't take on linebackers or linemen. Jalen Hurts takes what they give him, and when he gets through that first wave, he looks for a safe landing. There was a run in the Packers game down the right sideline, about 28 yards, and he could have taken a chance of put his foot in the ground and cut to the left, and he would have been banging into some people. Instead, he chose to just sashay out of bounds. He does not take that hit that often. And so I'm not as worried as I would be about a quarterback who had a different style of running. But here's the other thing I thought about. You remember what Randall Cunningham used to do. I have a picture of
played against him.
I have a picture of Randall in my office flying through the air over the entire Giants line. I mean, he launched. Was
that the cartwheel play?
He didn't actually cartwheel. He just leaped over, flew.
That's right.
But so I have that. But then I thought about Randall. He had one season-ending injury, and it occurred. It occurred. I can still remember. It occurred on the first play of the second quarter of the opening game at Green Bay, when he was hit by a linebacker by the name of Bryce Pott. And he was hit in the pocket. He was hit at a standard drop back pass. Oh, he got hit. That put him out. The Rambling Randall show really didn't put him out. Before that first injury, we used to call him Plastic Man. I mean, you could hit him. He was like a pretzel, and then he'd spring back to life.
You know what, too? Brian Westbrook was on our network earlier in the day, and he said something that made me pause and think about when Jalen. And if you break down all the films watching him and how he gets hit, you know the one thing you notice about it, Merrill? He doesn't get hit by linebackers and defensive tackles.
No.
He gets hit by DBs, and he doesn't take blindside hits where they're hits that are going to be, it's one thing when you're young, you can brace for him. And this is what Westbrook was saying, that, look, he gets to brace for these because he sees them. There's nobody coming up and blowing him up like a Vic or like you were mentioning too. Andrew Luck would go into that conversation. He played recklessly, like you see Josh Allen playing. So, I mean, would you agree? He's almost like a smarter Randall in the way that he's out there with his field presence, because he's not going to take the dangerous play or the dangerous turnover play. And I think that's why this RPO is working with him.
Yeah, I think I don't want to use the word smarter, but he doesn't run like Randall. He's more by design.
Yeah.
And he thinks about it. Randall was pure instinct and let it flow. He knows. I have a feeling when he's out there that he knows exactly what he's doing and where he's going to end up on the field. He has the whole thing surveyed. In fact, the coaches, Nick said it, and the offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, said it, that here he is. He's younger than Kenny Pickett, who's a rookie.
Yeah,
he's
crazy.
And now here he is in his third season, and he can come over to the sideline and talk to Nick and to Shane and tell them what he saw and what he thinks will work. He contributes to the play calling. And for a 24-year-old quarterback to be able to see that field, it's a combination of just having great instincts and a great ability to read and total dedication and film study, that he is so prepared for every game that he can contribute not only to the game plan, but to the in-game calls.
Merrill, Tom Brady even commented on that and said that that one of the things that you really enjoy watching with Jalen Hurts, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that how he sees the game and how he thinks the game through.
Yeah.
It's one thing when you lose certain players like Dallas Goedert. Okay, maybe I have to take more of an emphasis on what I have to do with running the ball. Maybe we throw the ball less. Merrill, I want to ask you something. A couple of last questions here. Why is this 10-1 team under more scrutiny than I wrote the numbers down. The 2017 team was 10-1. The 2004 team was 10-1. This team is 10-1. Why is there more scrutiny and more and negativity, more criticism? I don't know, any way you want to say it. Why is there more of a microscope on this team than there was on those teams?
Maybe because those teams were expected to be very, very, very good, and this team was expected to be pretty good with a shot at the playoffs. And here they are right now ruling the NFL. And I think a lot of pundits don't like to be wrong, so they say this team is a fraud and this team is watch them fall apart now. I still subscribe to the Bill Parcells line. You are what your record says you are, and their record says they're 10-1, and you can only play that's the other thing. Oh, they had an easy schedule. You can only play the teams that are on your schedule, and they did beat the Dallas Cowboys, who some people think are the best team in the league, and they beat them handily. Okay, at the time, Dak Prescott wasn't in, but they still beat them, and they still beat. Well, they dominated Minnesota on a Monday night game. They just gave them fits from beginning to end. So, until somebody proves it, now the new darling that people are saying, watch out for San Francisco. Yeah, they're good. They're very good, and they've played really well lately. But don't they have 4 losses?
Yeah, they do.
It's not an accident that they have 4 losses. So, I mean, you could say, well, that was before they had Christian McCaffrey. They're much better now. But they have 4 losses. This team has 1 loss. They're the best team in the NFC right now. I'm not going to tell you they're the best team in the NFL, because I look over there at Big Red and the Chiefs, and they look pretty tough. And I know how good the Bills can be, although they've got 2 losses in their division. So, but right now, I think the Eagles are probably as good as anybody.
Merrill, final question for you. What coordinator have you been the most impressed with this year, Jonathan Gannon or with Shane Steichen?
Yes.
Are
But
you running for mayor of Philly?
no, I'm going to tell you something. If I'm looking for a head coach next year, I'm interviewing both of them, and I'm interviewing Frank Reich. I've got them. Those 3 are on my short list, and I'll give you another one. And he's a friend of mine, D'Amico Ryans.
Oh, yeah, the DC for the 49ers.
Boy, is he a great man. And
Man, is he got that defense. I mean, I'm with you, Merrill. I think San Francisco's a different football team, and they've had a lot of adversity this year between the Garoppolo and Trey Lance thing, the injury bug hit them earlier in the season. They're getting healthier now. They've got an all-world linebacker group. They've got Nick Bosa. They've got Kittle. They've got Christian McCaffrey.
No, I'm not taking away from them. I'm just saying don't leapfrog them over the Eagles quite yet.
No.
That's all I'm saying. But D'Amico Ryans is the best. They used to, when he was here, they had every Wendy's had a big cutout of D'Amico Ryans and me, each holding a Wendy's. It was we were standing together, and in the cutout, I was pretty much the same size as D'Amico.
Merrill, thank you so much for taking time with me. I totally appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. It's always fun being on with you.
You bet. That is our good friend, Merrill Reese. Him and Mike Quick were so good on Sunday, man. I mean, they just absolutely give you the ebb and flow of the game. It's all emotion, too. I mean, they got a really great team, and I listened to the entire broadcast, and I heard Mike go, yeah, man, AJ hasn't had a very good month. So we appreciate it there. All right. Jimmy G. You're damn right, Jimmy G. Holy cow, my boy, Jimmy G. Jimmy G got that football team ready to rock and roll, baby. Hey, Richie, did you hear that, Dan Sileo? I got the Titans beating you Sunday. I don't know by what score you're at. Rather see Eagles-Bills Super Bowl for the fan bases. Tina, I predicted that 6 months ago. 6 months ago, Bills and Eagles Super Bowl in Glendale. How you doing? I hope you listen to Merrill Sills. Of course I do, man. Why do you think I get him on? He's more critical in the broadcast. I was floored. My wife and I are listening going, that's not the same guy that comes on your show. He was very critical of special teams. He goes, that was terrible. I'm like, wow. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Jimmy G, baby. You ain't beating the Niners either. You ain't beating the Niners. Come on, man. Everybody has predicted Bills to get to the Super Bowl the last 3 years. JM. Go Bills, baby. Great fan base. Buffalo's got a sensational fan base. Going to be singing Monday, Sills. No, that's Tuesday at 4 Eastern. If I do lose, which I will not be losing this time. How about those Packers? Yeah, add that in there, Paul. Look at Paul. Look at Paul with the backhand. Look at Paul breaking his arm, patting himself on the back. Congratulations to you, donkey. The San Francisco 40 winners. Way to go, maniac. The San Francisco 40 winners. Yeah, they are the 40 winners. How many Super Bowls they got in their history? 5? 5. Woo, baby. Josh Allen, great player. Wow. That's a quarterback. That's a quarterback with a big arm. Big arm. Chiefs are making the Super Bowl. They don't really run the ball that hot, though. Then again, not that Buffalo runs the ball well either. Not that they run the ball. Maniac. The San Francisco 40 winners. Titans are not beating the Eagles. Dude, Derrick Henry's going for $175 on you. It's okay. Don't worry. It's only going to be 2 losses. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about it. Newsflash, Jimmy G beat Geno this year already. Newsflash, Jimmy G beat Jalen already. Newsflash, he's 44-19-0. How you doing? Jalen's never beaten Jimmy G. Then again, he's never beaten Dak. Anthony, Sill's the biggest. How can I be the biggest Eagle hater when I picked you to go to the Super Bowl 6 months ago? How can that be? How can that be? How can I be a hater when I was the first guy in Philadelphia media to say your guys are going to the Super Bowl? At least I had the onions to say it. I don't see anybody. I still don't hear people saying they're going to the Super Bowl. I don't hear anybody going with conviction, hey, they're going to the Super Bowl. I think they are. I think they're going. Seals, make sure you show up Monday afternoon with a good excuse. What? When Henry goes for 175? If we lose to the Titans, I'm skipping the entire week of national. No way you could do it, Maniac. Big Sills needs you. Ray, Jimmy G, 4-2. That's the only quarterback rating you need to know. Bring your stats out. 4-2. 4-2. What are the Niners without him? Ungats. When did Sileo say Eagles win? Oh, no, Daryl. I didn't say you would win it. You would win it. I said you would get there. I said you'd get there. I didn't say you'd win it. That's not what I said. Sills making these Eagle fans hate us. Niners, why would you say that? Hate you? Pfft. You got a great football team. Eagle fans hate every other team except their team. You got to understand that. They hate every team on the planet except their own. It's nothing personal with you. It's strictly business, Niner. They hate everybody outside of Philly. They hate them. Hate them. They don't care. Talking about the Detroit Lions, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. They despised, dude, they really don't hate the Niners. They hate the Cowboys. Giants would be second on that list. Here's Eagle hating. Cowboys. The Gigantes. Washington. And then the rest fill in. Niners somewhere in there. Okay? I hate the Cowboys the most. It's Cowboys. 49ers are about to lose 4 straight games. Well, you're going to lose a game on Sunday to the Titans. How you doing? Shields, didn't you say Cousins and JJ will get 500 yards on us? I sure did. Wow, I was wrong. But I also said that Jalen wouldn't get 4,000 passing yards, and you would never see 2,000 receiving yards in receivers or 100 catch receivers this year too. Huh? Oh, GT. Huh? Jalen's not getting $4,000, and you ain't having 2 receivers with 1,000 yards, and you're not going to get close to having a receiver with 100 catches. How you doing? Come on, GT. Every time you say that, we prove. Yo, Will, really? Okay. Chills, you're a mad troll, my man. Dolphins have the best offense in the NFL. I think the Dolphins have the best offense, and I think that includes Kansas City. I do. Are stats more important than wins? Fat pig. Oh, man. Dolphins got a great offense. If I'm Xander, how about Xander and those Bama quarterbacks this year? Holy shit. Look at those Bama quarterbacks versus those Oklahoma quarterbacks. Caleb Williams. Oh, that's right. He's out in that shitty Pac-12. I ain't drafting that guy. No interest. I have no interest in him and the Lincoln Riley quarterback. They all suck. He has not developed one guy and I went, man, that guy's great. Kyler Murray, you can have him. He's probably the best guy that he's produced. The rest of them have been garbage. Miami versus the 49ers. That's for Friday. That's going to be a heck of a ball game. Two big-time teams playing against one another. How you doing? What if Jimmy G wins that game too, man? He's just going to skyrocket up that MVP list. Go get him, baby. That's my boy. Hurts player of the week. Hey, when you run the ball 157 yards, he sure didn't get player of the week because he threw the ball. He was dual threat. Yeah, hey, Jalen was dual threat. Yeah, wasn't because he threw the ball. But he threw the ball 4 times. He was dual threat. How you doing? Jimmy G and MVP in the same sentence. How you doing? Hey, Jalen Hurts, 10-1, is all he's accomplished. That's it. I'll tell you what, though. If Jalen Hurts ends the season the way he's playing now, in his first 2 years starting, he's an alternate, and he would be picked to be the starter in the NFC. That's pretty impressive. Not very many quarterbacks get an opportunity to be selected to 2 Pro Bowls in consecutive years. It just doesn't work like that. That's pretty impressive, man. He is. That's pretty good. No one said Jimmy G was not an MVP except for you. That's why mine matters more. And I have a vote. I have a vote for the most valuable player. Jimmy G. He's a paisan. What am I supposed to do? You know? Us Italian guys, you know, what am I supposed to do? We've been so disrespected over the years, like Miles Sanders being shit on by the Eagles, no contract. So Miles Sanders is the 4th leading rusher in the NFL, and the Eagles said, who cares? You can't be any more disrespected than that. Hey, go through your final year. We don't give a shit what you do at the end of the year. Don't worry about it. Miles Sanders just must be chomping at the bit to get out of Philly. He just must be chomping at the bit to get out of Philly. I would never want to come back and play here. You let me go into a final year of my contract without even offering me anything, and I'm putting up an all-pro season. Talk about being shit on. Pfft, Howie the Great. Going to let an all-pro running back walk out the building. The idea, Howie, is to accumulate players you draft and keep them, not let them go in their prime. Just a little help. See, I'm here to help you. Jesse says, Sills, you believe in the Vikings? Absolutely not. Win a big game. Every big game they step in, they get stepped on. Okay? With our O-line, you can rush for 1K. Oh, okay. When's the last time the Eagles had a 1,000-yard runner? I'll wait. I'll wait. When is the last time you had a 1,000-yard runner? Thank God Sileo's not our GM. Yeah, I might do a better job at drafting. Unlike you couldn't draft tight ends. Or excuse me, you couldn't draft edge rushers. You still can't. You can't draft corners. You can't draft wideouts. Or linebackers. You have to go out in the open market and get them. It's all good, kid. Don't worry about it. Oh, we haven't. Oh, top of the hour. Big Sil's quarterback rankings going into week 13. I've got the list who are playing the best quarterback. We'll hit on it next. Hit the like button, hour 2 with Big Sills here on the National Football Show.